Hello, folks. Hope everyone is well. So, here today, I thought let me invite Dr. Kanholi back to have a talk. So, he is here with us today, and he is going to speak about some of his research that he's done on karma and animals, the karma associated with animals. It could be in your life, it could be what you see in nature, in your environment. Like the cat is crossing the street. What does it mean? Omens associated with animals. So it's a very interesting topic, actually. So, and I'm sure most of you know who Dr. Santha Ganholi is, but he's a very established astrologer. He lives in Kerala. And I'm going to hand it over to him so he can get started. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, namaste, Anahita. Namaste to all your viewers as well. So thank you for inviting me back to your channel. So it's a great pleasure to be here again. So great. Let's see. So today I thought it was interesting. It'll be good to talk about the um, understanding understanding the karma which you would have with animals. So of course we do have pets in our life. That's a normal thing. Pets is famously the sixth house of the chart. Quite often, having a pet improves your diseases because sixth house is also the health and routine and all that. Excellent choice to combat mental depression. To have a dog or a cat, it's one of the best things one could ever do. And during the pandemic time, everyone went for a dog and a cat, right? So all the animal, everyone, the pet shops basically had an excellent time actually. So you could see the importance actually. So of course there are different things in definitely but there are various layers of karmas actually. So it's because in Jyotisha you do have the planetary links with animals as well as the nakshatras are also linked with animals. So you have the Jupiter that is linked with elephants, for instance. You could see that link. Mars is linked with goat. You could see that also. Mars is goat, and then goat, ram, sheeps. Saturn is famously the tortoise or the slow animal like donkeys and all that, that kind of thing. Venus is the horse usually. And then Sun is usually linked with lion. Moon or Venus can be linked with cow as well. But Moon is also cow. And then you have Mercury is linked with parrots in general.
Yeah.
Rahu can be linked with cats, and then Ketu can be linked with dogs in general. However, Rahu and Ketu both can also be linked with serpents and so forth. So it's a very simple thing. So you do have that link going on with those grahas and so forth. And then, of course, you do have the 13 annual pairs with the one odd one in the nakshatras pairing. Each of the nakshatras have their own yoni, which is linked with various kind of animals. For instance, Barney is linked with elephant, male elephant, and its female elephant pair would be Revati. Now, I remember in one of the Dr. Arjun Pai's class, he mentioned that how if you start an event in a male yoni nakshatra of a particular animal, quite often the event finds its conclusion in the female yoni nakshatra animal actually. So, like if you start an event in Barney nakshatra day, you're more likely to see it kind of concludes in Revati Nakshatra. If you start something with Pura Falguni, which is basically um, uh, female rat, the male rat happens to Maga, so you'll have to wait for a month to finally reach to its conclusion because the male female pairing is like that. So, if you start something on Maga Nakshatra, you might reach to its conclusion very quickly in Pura Falguni, actually. Within a day or two itself, you might get some good results. So, it's a very interesting kind of observation which he shared actually, which was very fascinating, and it's a topic that could be that you could do a lot of research with actually. Now, in general, why is animals important or helpful? Animals because they are instinctive creatures. They respond to energies very directly. So if you will see that if you carry a good energy, animals recognize that a lot. So there are a lot of stories about yogis calming big elephants or calming down tigers and so forth because the yogis carry peaceful energy. Quite often in ashrams of great saints, a lot of animals come by, whether it's like monkey or peacock and cow and all that. That's a usual thing. Dogs also come by very easily. So it's like one of those things. So you see that response to the energy which you carry is very almost immediate with with animals actually.
Mm.
So So quite often you can understand a particular planetary energy karma very quickly with animals. So, for instance, if you are walking by and suddenly, like a rooster, a fighting kind of bird tries to attack you, like which happens actually, then immediately you know that you carry some. The rooster is just responding to the energy you carry. The
Yeah.
rooster is seeing you as a threat to its life, so it's kind of attacking you. Now, as someone, completely someone else, a random other person will be walking by, the rooster will not attack that person, but they might be attacking the original person actually. So that means that rooster is detecting the challenging energy from you and responding to you accordingly. So if the challenging energy you experience with the animals can easily be, easily help you in identifying which planetary energy is lacking or and so forth. So if your interaction with an elephant is not positive, like an elephant is trying to attack you, you know your Jupiter energy is off. Whereas at the same time, if your interaction with an elephant is very positive, very calm, peaceful, and all that, you know that Jupiter energy is good for you, kind of thing.
Mm.
If a rooster actually, because it's linked with a fighting bird, it can be carrying the energy of Mars very strongly. So usually people who are having some Martian energy off in their aura, rooster is more likely to attack them. So that is one way you can see from that perspective. The dogs usually respond to Ketu kind of energy. So in case you are having that very strong leadership vibe and so forth, you'll see most often all the people who are alpha, people who are men who are into strong leadership roles and all that, they'll have a dog. In fact, the whole dog has an alpha thing. All the group of dogs will respond to the leader kind of thing and so forth. You see quite often leadership people, people in the corporate world and all that are more likely to have dogs. So that's because of that. They have a K2 kind of thing going on also. So compared to cat people who are basically raw people, so they are not as, they are not as masculine as K2. They have that feminine introversion kind of thing, or they're more introverted kind of thing. That energy you can see. So Rahu and Ketu can also give you a lot of plus. Now, so this is a very interesting point. If an animal is, giving you a hard time, you can easily interpret that as like there is some karma that is off. Whereas if you're getting a blessing from an animal, like suddenly you get a rooster and you're seeing you take care of a rooster and suddenly you're getting big land contract or you're getting like a promotion at work or something, and then immediately you can confirm that your karma with that animal is quite good. So
Mm.
this is something I thought it was very fascinating. Now, what takes understanding the animals also great because in Kerala, where I'm from, you actually have a lot of snakes. So this is the land of the snakes, actually. The land of the Nagas, as it's called. A lot of Naga shrines here. So quite often, a lot of omens around snakes are usually called out, actually. So usually when they say when you see a poisonous snake in your home, like a cobra and whatnot. It's the starting point of destruction for the family, interpretation can be said. Or sometimes, in some rare cases, if you have been working with a Naga god, Naga Devata in your family deity shrine or some other temple, you'll see that sometimes these big snakes, big Nagas will come to your land, they'll bless the land and they'll leave. That aspect also happens. So you see those kind of stories. You hear stories where like I remember one relative basically to being told by an astrologer that a snake will come to your land, but when you see it, just don't kill it. It'll just come and leave. Actually. So it's like that. So he was building his home close to Shiva temple also. So it was like one of those nimittas actually. So that's one of those things you see. Quite often, a very famous thing they do is Go Puja, in which they do puja of an cow actually outside your home, and then finally they request the cow. They make the cow to put its one leg into the home. So the concept is that now finally Lakshmi is going to enter into the home and all that. So there are pujas like that which happens. Now, interestingly, one can also understand eagle as a blessing of Vishnu. So whenever you are about to embark on a task, when you see eagle or an eagle comes in front of you and moves away, so it's a very direct omen of Jupiter and omen. So things can be more or less good. Now, at the same time, if you find eagles fighting or some conflict energy around eagles and so forth, like crows attacking eagle, so you know that it's like the Jupiter energy is not having an easy thing. Jupiter energy is having a conflict with Saturn energy. So that's what crows are. Crows represent Saturn, by the way. So in many ways, you can interpret the animal and bird energy by using the planets very easily. So there is a bird equivalent, there is an animal equivalent for the grahas as well. So the color of the animals quite easily indicate what kind of energy, the plant energy the animal carry. The nature of the animal also helps out. Similarly, the nature of the bird also will help you out in determining the plant energy. And some of it is very easy. Like parrot is definitely Mercury, which is green in color. Crow is linked with Saturn, which is black in color, and so forth. Now, a very fascinating thing about omen of animal is that it's good to understand what Rahu is defined. What is the definition of Rahu? So, Rahu is basically defined as the point where in the path of the sun, if in the path of the sun, when moon meets, the point where moon is crossing over to the northern direction is called as a north node or Rahu. So, quite often when you're going along a path, if an animal crosses your path, just like it's equivalent to having activated a Rahu kind of energy with respect to the animal energy which it's carrying. So usually it's considered to bring in a blessing of sorts whenever an animal crosses your path. Now, there is a very famous magical movie of Merlin actually, in which Merlin, who's advising King Arthur, he basically sees like a small worm crossing. He makes King Arthur wait. So they wait for a really long time, and finally the worm has crossed actually. And only after the worm crossing do they actually go ahead in that path actually. So King Arthur, therefore, the Merlin, since he understood the occult world and he understood the omens and energies and so forth, he basically was using the energy, using understanding because he understood how energies was flowing. He was able to derive a blessing from an animal. He was able to derive a blessing from a worm, actually. And smaller the scale of the animal, smaller the scale of the creature you're dealing with, more the Rahu effect you can get also. That's the other subtle thing you can see. So whenever any animal crosses your path, that is usually going to invite like a blessing of sorts. That's the way you can look at it. So whenever a cat crosses your path, immediately you can claim a blessing from goddess very easily.
Oh wow.
Whenever a cow crosses your path,
Yeah,
go
with
ahead.
that, it's associated with negativity, isn't it? Like there's a superstition that if a cat crosses, like I think it's a black cat that
Yeah,
bad luck or like, isn't it? But
yeah,
you're saying the opposite. That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So black cat crossing is equivalent to very strong Rahu energy crossing your path, or like a very strong goddess energy coming away. So not everyone understand that. Of course, the taboo against the black cat has been deliberate so that people don't raise black cats and get their energy. Black cats are very powerful, actually. So black cats, because cats in general will go towards negativity and they're not affected by it. They'll
Right.
go sleep in places where negative energies are there and they'll kind of calm down that energy.
Absorb.
Uh, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So being the black cat, black color which absorbs everything, a black cat can help in purifying a lot of energy also. So it's like that.
Yeah.
Usually in the Vedic thing, not many people raise pets, but pets have happened for a long time. So in Vastu, people who are into Vastu and all that, you see here that there's no concept for pets in Vastu in general. However, they do modern day Vastu, Acharyas usually provide some animal solutions actually. So like certain directions for animals, they recommend based on the Jala Tattva, various Tattvas and all that. They try to ensure animal is not famous. They will actually say a dog's thing should not be in the Jala pond. A dog is a fire animal, so a dog's house should be in the fire corner of the land because dog is carrying the fire. It's a guard kind of energy, right? It's a Mars kind of energy. So the Agni corner is basically, which is the southeast portion of that land is more ideal for the dog actually. So they say that actually. I remember a case where a doghouse was built on the northeast actually, which is the Jalkon of the land. So Jalkon is basically water portion of the land. So in the water region in Vastu, if you build a fire creature's doghouse, so definitely the fire creature is going to be like, could not stay there actually. So that's what happened. So the dog kept on barking there whenever it was there. So it just would not keep silent. And the animals respond to energies very directly, right? So the dog would incessantly bark actually, So eventually, eventually the dog house had to be brought down and so forth, which is what happened in these cases. So usually the Agni Cone is where a dog house is usually recommended because dogs are Martian creatures. It's Ketu anyway, so Kujvat Ketu, right? So you see that Agni Tattva happening like that. But animals for cats and all are they usually recommend the earth region if I'm not mistaken. It's usually pets and all that they try to keep them away from the northeast portion, which is where luck and all that happens. So that's what they say. But usually but the no matter what the if an animal crosses your path, you can identify the nature of blessing coming your way. So if a small worm crosses your path, you're patient enough to allow a small worm to cross. A big Rahu Ketu blessing is coming your way. If a cat crosses your path, definitely you are getting the blessing of moon. If you carefully look at cat, the nakshatras of cat is Purnavasu and Ashlisha. Both are falling in Cancer sign actually. Purnavasu, of course, is falling in Gemini as well. So you have the moon energy. It's like a goddess energy strongly linked with the cat because of that. In fact, cats are also linked with Krishna as well, which is surprising. They say that one of Krishna's best friend was actually a cat, actually, because when Krishna would steal butter, the story goes that he would actually point to the cat as he'll put some butter, smear some butter on cat's face also, and say the cat was the one who actually robbed butter from the, like the butter vessel and all that. So he would do that. So they say famously Krishna was also one of Krishna's best friend is cat. So you can claim all that. So therefore, the cat is going to carry that Cancer energy. Jupiter in exaltation energy is there also. Krishna has a direct link with Rahu energy as well. Krishna famously is the link with the moon avatar of Vishnu. As far as the Vishnu avatar is concerned, the Graha link with Krishna is also moon. So it's a very interesting link you can see there from that perspective. So, of course, when a dog crosses your path, it's a direct omen for a blessing from Shiva, from a masculine deity. That's also one more thing you can easily see. Now, if at all you happen to see an elephant crossing by, then directly you can claim that's a Jupiter blessing. Now, that usually happens in various lands. So, if you go to Southeast Asia, Thailand, or something, you can come across elephant. You can, if you are in Kerala, in most of the temples, you'll have an elephant thing going on very easily. If you see a Venus blessing can be claimed with like a horse going by. Horse is often linked with Venus, so that's one aspect you see. So if at all a horse crosses you, you can claim a blessing from a Venus. So Venus energies, Venus related activities you're about to do for the day will be very good. That's something you can claim. So that's a very good thing to have happen. And then of course Shani can be linked um, with creatures of laboring creatures, as they call it. So, like usually buffaloes and Shani can be linked with crows even because they're scavenging creatures. Shani can also be linked with, buffaloes, as I mentioned. But yeah, blessing of Shani can be mixed. Need not be that great. So, blessing of Shani can have its own issues actually. So, sometimes delays could be a blessing in time. So, when something's happening, it's getting delayed. We never we fail to see the blessing in that, but our sometimes the good delays would be could help you to prepare yourself for bigger things and so forth, things like that. So Shani's blessing is like a very tricky blessing, but still you can claim a blessing whenever like a buffalo, a donkey, a creature that carries weight actually crosses your path. That's something you can see.
Well,
Then of course a Martian,
I have
good.
a story, a little story to share with that. Like you said, it's connected to crows, right? Shani is connected
Yeah,
to crows.
yeah.
I had bought a property in India like many years back. I think it was
hmm
13, 14 years back. And where I was staying in India at that time, I was working on a project with this Israeli lawyer. Okay, so I was actually living there for a while, for a few months, and where I was living, every night I would hear crows. Every night, like, and they nonstop. They would go on for hours and hours. It wasn't like it was just a few minutes or an hour and they would stop. But no, they were always cawing every night. And it was just driving me crazy, like people were suggesting all kinds of remedies to do, but nothing was working. And by the time I left that place, I had to get rid of that property. Like something
mm
with with
Yeah,
that. Isn't it interesting? Because it was
yeah,
it was a sign, but that property turned out that turned out to be a blessing because later on that
yeah,
whole area was under litigation.
yeah.
So it was actually a
There
message
you go.
getting
Yeah,
from the
of
crow.
course. Yeah, so litigation is linked with Shani after all, right? So you can see how that was also linked.
So I was getting that message to get rid of that property. I mean, when I did it, I was of course in shambles. I felt like a big loss and all of this. But later on, that whole thing went under litigation and went the whole. So so it was, and I think they also say it's linked to your ancestors. But this is like a shani. It's a shani's. It's a blessing from shani. It doesn't seem like it at the time, but
Yeah.
but later on you realize, oh, okay, that was actually a blessing.
Yeah, so in fact, one of the best things for people who are going through depression and all that, best thing they can do is to feed crows actually. I cannot emphasize this enough. Like even if you are going through Shani Dasha, Sade Sati, Ashtama Shani, feeding crows is one of the best remedies. Now, surprising thing you see is that it's an actual consciousness thing actually. So
Hmm.
one of the things you begin to see is that when you start feeding crows, none of the crows will start to eat or you give food. It will be actually observed. Who is this guy? Who is this lady? What's going on here? What the food they're offering and all that. They'll be very careful. They'll be very cautious actually. And once you're consistent every day, you're going to the same spot offering crows at the same time and all that. Eventually, the crows will come and so forth. Eventually, it will get to a point where, say, you're giving food in your own home, the crows will expect schools or it will be like a gathering. It's like a family trip of crows will come, like, so they'll come in batches and so forth, have food and all that and so forth. So it's a very good thing to develop actually, feeding crows and so forth. Now, of course, in India, Kerala, where I'm from, this crows and all that are abundant. India usually has a lot of crows, so it's not a problem. So it's good actually. So the feeding crows is one of the best ways to improve your Shani karma. But what happens that when you're doing the remedy of feeding a crow, you have to actually observe the animal. That side to it is also is there. So you have to observe the animal tendencies. Slowly you have to connect with the animal energy and slowly develop the same energy within yourself, which is a big thing. So quite often they often say go to a goshala and feed a cow. A lot of people do it. A lot of Indians also, when they see a cow, they'll give something to the cow and all that. However, the real essence of transmission comes when you actually look at what is the energy that you're developing. Now, with the crow thing though, one thing I can definitely say is that if you want to improve an aspect of your life, this is combining a little bit of Vastu also. So say you want to improve your Jupiter energies in your life. You start feeding crows in the northeastern portion of your home, like in your land. Slowly, the Jupiter energy in your life will be purified. The crows will come and eat the negativity away, and your Jupiter energy improves. Now, eventually, say you want to improve your Saturn energies of your life. So, feeding crows in the western direction is a very superior thing because west direction is linked with Shani.
Hmm.
Now, usually the south direction is linked with the Pitris. So that is the strongest direction to feed crows, as you mentioned, because crows are directly linked with Pitris. So you will see that a lot of your mistakes which your ancestors have made, you will tend to like not allow those mistakes to come through to you. So that very not so good emotional tendencies, the bad decision making, emotions, and so forth, they'll definitely calm down. You'll definitely develop a sense of maturity as well when you feed crows in south direction. So typically in Kerala, when you do the ancestral rituals, finally you give the offerings in the south direction. Like you typically the final offerings are given in the south direction. So a crow coming and eating that offering is considered to be a strong omen that the ancestors have taken your offering actually, and that becomes an important thing. So in fact, there is a specific kind of crow they call out also for this ancestral thing. A crow that is more full dark in color. We call it balikaka actually. Balikaka is basically the crow that is full dark. It's not just like usually the crows will have a gray neck. The balikaka will be full dark kind of a crow. That is considered to be even superior to get blessings of the ancestors. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, what there is a if you know the planetary directions, so the directions and the planetary linkage, you can actually purify that planetary energy using a crow energy when you use that directions and so forth. It's one of those things, like the home where you're staying. If you have that, now of course, not everyone might not have the luxury if you are living in flats and all that. But in general, the overall direction, right? If you're staying in this particular space, so you want to improve your career. So if you feed crows in the eastern direction, the sun direction, career is linked with sun, fame, name, status, and all is also linked with sun. So when you feed a crow in the sun direction, you might see it getting improved and
Yeah.
so forth. So feed a directional aspect can be added to crows. Go ahead, Anita.
Sense that to add another layer, isn't it, to make it stronger in that sense. But so in the same way, what about if you're trying to remedy Rahu Ketu in your chart? What would
Oh,
you
that's
suggest?
yeah. So Rahu is linked with the southwest direction. In fact, most of the house in southwest direction is where you is supposed to be kept clean and all that in the southwest corner of your home, because that is the direction of Rahu. So any chaos there, quickly you will see it is showing up in your life. So most of the time, you want to invite new energies, you put that item in the southwest corner of your home. So you want a job, standard remedies to like have a resume, put some flower on top of the flower is Venus. Put that flower on top of the resume and put that in the southwest corner of your home. So you can add some more layers to it also, as you mentioned. So southwest is good for Rahu purification, and northwest is actually recommended for Ketu. Now there are some schools of thought where they link Ketu also with the northeast or the Ishan corner. So some school Rahu is one direction, opposite direction should be Ketu one school of thought. But most of the schools of thought they also consider sometimes Ketu with the northwest also. So there are two schools of thought with Ketu. Northeast is usually linked with the Jupiter direction and Ketu as well. Sometimes Ketu also is considered to be top direction also. So there is also a school of thought like that. So, however, if you are giving food offerings, even if you keep these northeast and southwest corner of your home clean, you will see the chaos in your life will significantly come down. And I've seen that a lot. So when you keep the northeastern corner of your home or southwest corner of your home very clean, they usually recommend to keep heavy items in the southwest corner in general, like keep heavy furniture, heavy kind of storage and all that more in the southwest corner. So that because you're kind of calming down the Rahu energies, you're kind of blocking the Rahu energies because of that. In the northeast, they always recommend to keep it very light because you are kind of inviting the Jupiter energies in the northeastern corner. That's
Ex-
also usually recommended. Yeah. So
About
so usually the
peacock. Have you heard of peacock feathers?
yeah. Peacock feather is also excellent.
Like people
Yeah.
say, keep peacock feathers in the southwest, or is it the southwest? I don't know.
Peacock feather can be kept many places. Yeah. Southwest is one of the places. Yeah, definitely. Peacock feather is actually very good, right? If you go to India to remove nazar and all that, that's what the fakir people will actually use the nazar thing, right? So you see that actually. So they usually do. So peacock feather, they keep it outside your home shrine, your outside your home altar. Some people do that. They don't keep it on the home altar. They'll keep it outside. Peacock feather, they also keep it like in the southwest corner, as you mentioned. Some people keep peacock feather in a book which they frequent. That's a common thing, so that you are purifying that Rahu energy there. Peacock can be linked with Mars as well. Peacock consumes a snake. So it can actually calm down your Rahu energy or Rahu problems much more easily. So the peacock feather is also quite good to remove the Rahu energy. And Krishna himself used to don a peacock feather as well. He used to have a peacock feather on his forehead, on his head. So you could see a Rahu purification happening. Peacock definitely is great for calming down Rahu. Quite often, to have a peacock feather itself is considered to be like some improvement of Rahu is coming into the home. To have peacock decors also mean the Rahu energy is actually improving, is what one can claim. However, what I've seen is that sometimes you see it's very interesting. This is where you see the karmic thing going on. People who get peacock and all that, they might create like a white peacock or blue peacock and all that, but the actual feather part will be missing. It's like that actual feather they might not purchase or whatnot and so forth and all that. So just ideally, I would say the feather, if you're getting the feather, that's also pretty good, Now, the peacock is a good segue to understand how different animals are linked with various gods and goddesses. And that's a very big topic. So I already mentioned that with the crossings of animals. So different, all the gods and goddesses have their own vahanas, which is their own animal actually. So various mounts as they're called. So the Murugan famously is linked with the peacock. He has the mile vahana. So he has the peacock as his vahana. So to see a peacock or to have an interaction with peacock is supposed to be linked with the blessing of Murugan as well because of that. And
Oh,
Murugan is also linked with
it's
yeah.
Mars. It's
Yeah.
associated with Mars, you're saying. Is
Yeah,
it?
there you go. Yeah. So exactly, yeah, definitely it has a Mars linkage also.
In my in my
Uh,
in my neighborhood park, there's two peacocks that live there. We see them sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, to see a peacock can be linked with both Rahu, like mastery over Rahu, and there's also Martian linkage that happens there.
Oh.
So quite often usually they say the animal instinct, that particular animal consciousness is basically what the divine consciousness is actually resting upon. That is what travel allows that divine consciousness of that particular god to travel. And quite often seeing those corresponding vahanas of various gods are very good. So, like to see an elephant, as I mentioned, is supposed to be great for Indra. Indra's Vahana is elephant.
Hmm.
Vishnu's Vahana is eagle, as I mentioned. Shiva's Vahana is bull. So, to see a bull is considered to be very good from that perspective.
Hmm.
Krishna was hanging around cows, and but that still had a eagle thing. So you can see cows like that also. Kal Bhairava is famously linked with the dog actually, and quite often you see that in if you go to Ujjain, Mahakal, and over this Kal Bhairava temple, the dogs in Ujjain are very strong. They're very fit. So you see that temples of Bhairava usually the dogs are actually big deal. So there's a temple in Kerala by the name Sri Muttappan actually. It's like that local regional temple, but very famous for dogs. In the Muttappan temple, usually the guardian outside beings are dogs actually, and the dogs are allowed to roam free in the temple. And in that region, they raise dogs and so forth. So Muttappan devotees usually raise dogs in in their home. It's like a Bhairava energy, and people go take their dogs to the temple to get the name for the dog. So the naming ceremony happens with the dog, and the shaman there will basically say what the name for the dog should be and all that. So of course the shaman will tell you when will you get a job, when will other things improve and all that. The shaman helps you that also. But usually you see this particular naming thing happening at all. So it's a big thing. So like animal energies have been understood deeply. Now there are certain animals. Durga famously rides a lion. In some depictions, she's shown with tigers also.
Yeah.
So a strong cat family thing is seen. So now usually you will see, and now this can be used as a remedy as well. So if you understand the Devata, certain gods and god are linked with certain planets, you can improve that significantly. So if you want to improve your sun, it's easily you improve things with Shiva. When you take her for bull and all that, it's very good. When you want to improve your Rahu, it's very good if you donate towards like a tiger or a lion, lion conservation thing or zoo and all that. Now I know some families, some of my rich clients, I recommend them to actually sponsor like lion's food for a month or something. Or if they're super rich, I just tell them to sponsor lion's food in the zoo actually, a complete thing. Now, if you are going to Rahu Dasha, you can even sponsor food for a snake in a zoo. Now, it's not the ideal thing because it's like zoo and they are in captivity and all that, but at least you are allowing that animal to consume some energy for you. So that's one other aspect also that is going on. So it will still help. So now the wild animals are definitely the more fierce animals are wild. They have a Rahu kind of link in general. So there is a clear difference between the domesticated animal and a wild animal. So wild animals are more good for clearing out Rahu karmas actually, like more foreign land karmas and so forth. All that they are good. Now it's a very unique thing. I remember someone sharing with me that there was a unique remedy where they had to get mud uh, upon which various kind of animals have walked. So you have to get mud from a land where a lion has walked. You have to get a mud from a land where a cow has walked. Then a mud from a land where a goat has walked. A mud from a land where an elephant has walked. And you had eight other animals like that. So it was like sort of you could like seven animals kind of thing. It was kind of the point. It was seven grahas or so, and finally you mixed all that and you make a kalash and then you get do some puja and finally you bring in all around prosperity. So some client a horse has walked was one of the thing. So this guy apparently got almost all of them. Apparently, so he was able to finally do a kalash kind of thing and so on. So it's like an energy thing. You're kind of activating that energy, capturing the energy of the animal in specific ways, and you're enhancing that very directly actually. So that's one thing. Now, it's very fascinating because the vahanas or the devatas are very powerful ways to show a karmic link.
And what about
So
Ganesha's rat, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. In fact, yeah, that's the thing. So quite often Ganesha famously can show his obstacles and his obstacles through a rat. So that's the other side of things. So of course, rats are not good for you and all that, that's there, but you tend to kill the rat. But if you're carefully attentive, you're quite often when you're doing Ganapati mantras, you'll be amazed to see rats showing up out of nowhere. But the interesting thing you'll see is that rats also, the kind of obstacles will rats create will be very unique. So, and of course, rats to come with their own health thing. To see a rat in a place, it's a very, it indicates like the energy of Ganesha very strongly. So Ganesha, of course, can be linked with the elephant as well and the rat. Both can be seen with the Ganesha. Now, the rats do create diseases as well. Our rats are very, rats kind of indicate some obstacle kind of karma in general. So something to be mindful of because of that. But if you're doing Ganapati mantras though, that's different. Then to hear a rat is considered to be like a blessing of sorts also. And quite often you will see that actually a very unique kind of thing going on, a place where someone are doing Ganapati mantra. They are expected to, it will, so here's the other thing. When you're doing a particular mantra, the energy of that deity, that vibrational energy builds up, and that will eventually attract the animals linked with that particular god or goddess. This is the normal aspect. So even say you decide to get a Hanuman statue to your home, you start doing Hanuman Chalisa regularly. At some point in time, if a monkey passes by, the monkey will sense that energy and monkey will even eventually show up actually. That kind of thing can be claimed. Eventually, like if you have, if you do like a Bhairav mantra, eventually a dog might actually show up in your land more frequently. So it's supposed to indicate and reflect the energies which you carry, which you're developing as well. So many of the sadhakas, they have to like, it's an actual thing for them. They have to they have to wait for an omen from one of these animals to consider a blessing from the deity has come their way. So sometime if you're doing mantras for Kali, seeing any darker animal, so even to see a crow is considered to be a big blessing from Kali kind of thing from that perspective. So that kind of any black color animals, anything black can be linked with Kali actually, whether it's a black cat or black crow or scavenging animals and so forth and all that. Black dogs can also be linked with dogs are usually linked with Bhairava, but there are certain Jeshta Devi and all that. Well, there are certain devis, certain goddesses who also have linked with dog. That's also one more thing you see going on. So Kali also has a link with dog actually
Yeah.
on the basis.
What I
Go ahead.
is like, for doing such remedies, it's not just a case of, okay, like you want to improve your Ketu, so you adopt a dog, or maybe Rahu, you adopt a cat, whatever it is. But it's just you can even give donation. You can give donation to the well-being of that,
Hmm.
isn't it? To as a
Yeah.
remedy also. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. No, that's great actually. So, for instance, you have the Goshalas where they raise cows. You can donate towards Goshala, which is a very good thing. Used to be like a famous remedy to improve your Venus that you would donate a cow to a Brahmin. However, the side of that remedy is that you have to ensure the Brahmin is not just selling the cow off. You have to make sure the Brahmin is basically taking care of the cow and all that and so forth. That's the other aspect. The other thing also is that you can no snake protection courses you can donate. It's an excellent remedy for Rahu Ketu thing, fertility issues and so forth. Donating towards snake protection courses, like people who capture snakes and send them to the wild and all that, right? Donating towards the cause is excellent for snakes remedy. That I've seen. Even donating to a snake and an animal in a snake food in a zoo is also very decent kind of thing. But actually, as you mentioned, like people who are into protecting snakes, snake conservation courses and all that, if you can donate, it's an excellent thing to have actually. And then, and quite often you will see, if you carefully look at these conservation courses, at least in India, you will begin to see like there is a temple closely linked with a conservation course. And you can identify the deity's energy which is linked with that particular course as well. Very quite often you will see that. So that is one other aspect as well, which is linked with that. So it's a very fascinating thing. So, like when you actually donate or when you spend time with an animal, what you spend time with eventually becomes part of you, right? So, the animal energy will slowly, the consciousness carried by the animal will slowly come into your being. And the more the more you start to feed crows, the more you begin to develop patience, the more you begin to have a work ethic kind of thing like a crow and all that, the more you have a group mentality, which is a crow thing, all that slowly develops without doubt. The more you feed the peacock, the more like a peacock you become, you know. So the more you become flashy, the more you become like willing to dance in the rain and all that, which is what a peacock will do. All that aspect can come alive.
Peacocks are fierce animals. People don't realize
Yeah,
they're so beautiful, but they're
yeah.
actually fierce. And I think that's why maybe the connection with Mars. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, so that's one thing, definitely without doubt. So that's one aspect also. Now, easy way to improve mercury for children is to take care of a parrot. Actually, I remember going to a friend's house. His wife had exalted mercury in her chart actually, and he had no background in astrology and whatnot, but they were taking care of a couple of parrots. And it was a very good when they were taking care of parrots. Their house was very good. Like they it was good vibes there in the house, and they had a full fun thing going on and all that and so forth. So you could see that actually. So Mercury improving the Mercury, and sometimes you see the sound of specific birds also will kind of calm you down in a big way. So if you're surrounded by birds and all that, specific bird sounds will have specific kind of responses in you actually. So
Yeah,
the parrot sounds, the noises made by a parrot is very good. And parrot is very good for Mercury kind of gods and goddesses like Lilidhamika and all that. Sometimes they link. Some of these deities have the what do you call it, Rajasic deities, are also linked with the Mercury kind of aspect. So that's something you see. That's a fascinating thing. Um, and for instance, you can also understand how your karmic level is based on the sound response to this bird. So, say you cannot at all bear the crow's cawing sound. Crows like cawing outside your outside window, but you cannot bear it. Then
yeah,
for sure you can confirm that there is like a Saturnian karma which you have to process. It's not easy. You might have to work on it very easily
yeah,
and so forth. So that's an actual thing. So as you kind of highlighted also. That is one other aspect. Now, the one big point I want to bring about was that idea that you can actually see how the animal energies can sort of like grow in a particular land. How to even look at the various energetic stage which an animal's energy is growing in a particular land or a household or a family and all that and so forth. So it's a very unique idea actually. So say let's say initially you are just an animal. You are basically inviting an animal to a home. So basically like initially just giving food to the animal. Like say a crow comes by and then it eats the food and leaves. So, okay, you are now enjoying the company of the animal. You're kind of giving it food. It's coming, it's leaving, and so forth. So, say eventually, like you make it to prominent. So, let's say you are now starting to talk with animal. It's a mercury level interaction that's happening right now. So, say you slowly build up the energy, and then the animal is actually given good food even further. Like you're given sweet food and all that. The animal is actually enjoying when it's coming to a home. Now, what was initially like a conversation with the animal is actually enjoying the company of the animal even further. Now the energy has improved towards Venus level actually.
right.
Now say eventually that animal is actually given a home in your own home. Like you have a bird's nest or something, you have like a dog house or something, or like you actually have a small pets corner or whatnot and all that. So now that animal is actually having a home. So the animal energy is actually happening at the moon now. Actually, it's happening at the moon level right now. Now, say the crow begins to building two birds. Say you have one sparrow nest in your home. Two couple, like one couple, sun and moon has come into the home. Then the animal energy has developed into sun and moon level from that perspective. And now, when the animal has established a home in your land or your home or property and whatnot, there are two ways to look at it. One, it could be like just coming, go, having food elsewhere, and it could be like coming back and just sleeping and then just going back on his normal day. But there could be cases when like when two birds decide to settle down, okay, we are going to settle down here in this land, or we are going to settle down in this tree in your land or something, right? So now that they are going to be present no matter what. So now at that point, it's like a sun moon energy happening. So it's that animal, that animal will be there no matter what. So now the energy has eventually evolved to the sun. It's always seen. You can always see the animal there, is what I translated. Before it was coming and going, which is moon. Now when you can always see the animal, it is sun. Now when the animal actually decides to have a child, so the father bird and mother bird decides to have a child is born. Now, what is happening is that the next generation, so Rahu kind of level, as for the sun and moon coming together, the definition of Rahu, so father and mother bird coming together. The next generation of that animal is born. A Rahu kind of level of that animal's energy is present in that land. So now, what eventually happens is that in a land where Rahu say each animal has its own energy, each animal, there are various stages how their energy can also go upwards. So eventually the blessing of that animal can come. So quite often you will see when a new baby calf is born in a goshala, or the family is having a cow, couple of cows, and cows mated, and finally they have got a baby calf. The father of the household gets a promotion because it's expansion. It's a Rahu kind of expansion of the moon or Venus energy. A new property is being purchased when a baby calf is born in a goshala, or when a goshala is actually multiplying the with cows and so forth, when it's expanding, the business which that family is having is flourishing like anything, especially the hotel business or the hospitality industry business and all that can actually expand very strongly. Actually. So it's a very direct thing. So the Rahu kind of blessing through the animal's energy is what you're getting actually. Though it's like animals are at a scale that is lower than us, the fact that that energy is allowed to come into home can give you a lot of plus. So if I was a king, I would ensure that I had all the planetary animals kind of thing around my palace. I would have like an elephant kind of thing going on. Elephant should have their own thing. So Jupiter blessing can come in a big way. I would ensure like a lion blessing would be there with lion and lioness kind of thing. So Rahu at the a big sun energy way blessing I can come. If I wanted like Martian thing, so basically sheep and so forth, like and a courageous kind of animal like sheep that's willing to climb mountains and so forth. That pairing would give like a pure Rahu thing. So the blessing would be happening at a Mars level, soldiers, technical machinery, and all that bunch of horses with Venus energy, so big kind of a Venus thing, lot more trade, commerce kind of thing, and say Mercury, like even if you had parrots and so forth, you can see like Mercury kind of thing coming up actually, and then of course dogs and cats and so forth, Rahu Ketu kind of blessings you can claim very easily. Shani kind of blessing also you can claim. So this is one thing to recognize actually, and this is a good thing. Now, what can be considered to be the blessings which a particular family or a land can get, right? So let's put it this way: if an animal energy is allowed to flourish in a particular land, the people will spend more time with that animal. That animal's energy is part of that people's thing, and they'll also carry that quality of that animal a lot more. So, for instance, if you have that dogs are big in Ujjain, for instance, everyone will have that Ketu kind of thing going on. They'll have deep understanding of mysticism kind of thing. They'll be open to Kal Bhairav's energy and all that very easily and so forth. Now, a very subtle thing that happens here, love in certain lands, killing cows is banned, right? So, moon energy can actually flourish very easily in that land. Venus energy can flourish very easily in that land. Now, in a land where elephant is killing is banned, and definitely Jupiter energy can flourish in the land very easily. That's one way you can see going on. And now this was understood by various families actually in Kerala. Big families would actually take care of an elephant. It was a standard thing. So they would at least have one or two elephants. And if at all a calf, they would take normally they would take care of one elephant actually, but big families would support multiple elephants actually. And when they to support an elephant, it's a big expense. Now, elephant is a big expense. You have to feed it every day. It's not easy to take care of it also. But the blessing will also come in a big way because we are kind of feeding a Jupiterian thing. We get big projects at the same time, which will also require you to spend money. But you'll see overall prosperity, overall growth happening. The children's education, all that's flourishing very easily. You can see that kind of aspect going on. So it's a very interesting way to see the animals kind of blessings of animals kind of coming. Now, for instance, in China, and this can be interpreted even at the nakshatra level also. There used to be a time in China where they would not kill buffaloes. Killing a buffalo was like it was like a cow in China. Like buffaloes would till the farmland and all that. You could get milk from the buffalo. So it was banned, banning a buffalo could not be killed in China. It was banned. Killing buffalo was banned. Now, if you know nakshatras, immediately you know the buffalo energy is linked with Swati nakshatra and Hasta.
Mm.
So China will have great Hasta energy. So they're great at Mercury energy and great at Kamos energy also. Swati kind of thing. So Chinese, everyone, all business people have to go to China to do some trade and all that. You can see the blessings how that
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that animal energy grew up in that land. The multiple generations were allowed to happen. Slowly, that brought in that corresponding nakshatra energies and the planetary energies in that land.
yeah.
So that's a big thing. Now,
India, like with a cow, what is the
yeah, so that's a good point. So let's look at India actually. So with India, you have the cow thing is banned in India. Let's put it this way. At least now the new government is trying to central government or previous central governments also try to ban the killing of cows. Right. So cows definitely are linked with moon and Venus energy. So moon, definitely you will see the family energy, moon energy is kind of increasing. The women will actually get more power because of that. Mother energy and all that will significantly improve. Like the whole hospitality industry and all that will also improve significantly. The restaurant industry and all that.
Food.
And the Venus energy will also,
It's also food. It's family, but it's also food.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's exactly that. So food will also improve. The food industry will also improve. You'll see that the water kind of industries will improve. Of course, cows give milk, so anything with the milk, you get bigger returns from that. That kind of thing. It's a sattvic animal after all. So that's the other aspect. So like the blessings of cows is big. So cows, in fact, just to quote an omen experience, like I remember, a cousin of mine was basically trying to purchase a land, and he basically he did not know astrology, but I told him watch out for omens actually. What tell me what animals you're seeing and suppose when you go for it. And then when he actually went to purchase the first land, he was like he heard dogs barking actually in the background. And I said, of course, that animal, that land should not be, won't be good. So he said, yeah, he confirmed that, there was no vehicle access to that land, so it was not a good land to purchase. Then the next land, when he went to see, a cow literally walked on top of the land. I say, yeah, this is a great land to invest, it will grow and all that. So he ended up purchasing that land actually. So you could see that. So
Okay.
quite often you can, yeah, to see like cows almonds is very auspicious. It brings in moon energy, bring a lot of support, a lot of family involvement, that kind of thing. Now the if animal energy is supported, generations are allowed to grow in a particular land. The opposite karma can be claimed when the animal is being treated unfairly as well.
Right.
So if you are say you're killing an animal, that energy, nakshatra energy is coming down, that plant energy is coming down in that land.
Yeah.
Can claim that. Eventually it can, so in America, in the USA where they kill cows,
Right.
killing cow is normal. So well, you can see the moon energy is suffering there significantly.
Yeah.
You can see the family unity is getting impacted more. Women don't feel,
Mental health, family
yep,
values generating. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That
yeah,
makes yeah.
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 Yeah, so the astrologer will quickly say moon is these factors, so these factors are very quickly getting impacted. So you can see that happening very clearly. So in lands where you see the cows are treated fairly, you'll see as they're getting good results. But when, of course, in beef killing cows, you'll see that it's a normal, it's a very pure mathematical thing that is happening, mathematical energy progression that is happening, and so forth. Now, this kind of idea where you kill an animal or it's being you can now it's fine in USA, for instance. It's not being traded as a commodity. Cow beef is being traded as a commodity, which is a pure Saturn level thing. Now you can even understand what are the lower kind of progression if it's going on, right? So how low it can go. If you're just hunting the animal, consuming it, it's like the energy has gone down to Mars level.
Hmm.
But if you're kind of harming the animal, like growing it in factories and killing it, then it's a Saturn level. It's a trading commodity kind of level where it's happening. If you are even exporting that animal energy outside, then it's a Rahu kind of thing because the animal is no longer feeling safe in the land.
Yeah.
So, and slowly, as you mentioned, if that moon energy is getting hampered, you'll see that thing going on. A land or lines were getting hunted. So slowly that sun energy will kind of go down. The Rahu energy will also go down from that perspective.
Yes.
So lands where where elephants are getting hunted, you'll see Jupiter energy is going down similarly, kind of thing. So the knowledge aspect, overall prosperity is also going down from that perspective. Whereas the lands where elephants are maintained, overall prosperity is just growing. Things are just improving. So Pisces becomes active, the Cancer sign becomes active because Jupiter gets exalted. Sagittarius becomes active when Jupiter energy is maintained. So a lot of foreign money can come to the land when elephants are maintained. Actually, very easily you can see that. So that's also one more thing. Now, of course, the curse of an animal is usually happening when multiple generations that animal has been hunted down. So,
Yes.
like, I was just quoting these examples before we started talking, like how making the video actually, like how in China and all that, because they eat bats. The bat is being traded as a meat which you can eat in basically this thing. So, of course, now they're saying the coronavirus and all that came from bat, right? So you can even claim the curse of an animal can come upon a land actually because
Absolutely.
it has been energy has been brought down a lot. So
Yeah.
lands where you eat dogs, curse of Ketu will happen. The Ketu energy will kind of go down very slowly. You'll see how that's happening very easily. So it's a very, very direct thing. So you can see like at the same time when you actually So when you identify this thing, right? So when you identify how there's a progression of energy that is happening at a particular land, you can see the blessing of that animal can be claimed at a particular level. And eventually, if at the same time, if the energy of that animal is going down in a particular land, the curse of the animal will eventually show up in that land. So that is also one more interesting animal thing. So something which I realized with my research actually. So it was kind of eye-opening when I realized this kind of thing can be identified. So
Amazing.
now, quite often, what can you identify as a blessing of an animal, which is very fascinating. So in modern day, though, as I mentioned, a particular planetary energy you will see, a particular nakshatra energy you can see, and so forth. Nowadays, you do find a very hidden kind of blessing when you have like an animal a mascot or something. It could be like a sports team. It could be like it could be like a football team or like a cricket team or whatnot. What would be like an IPL team or something, right? So they have some mascot of an animal. So that it can be considered to be a blessing of the animal at the Martian level because it's like a superior blessing. It's an athletic kind of team. It's a blessing that is happening like that. Eventually, it can get to a point where it's a national symbol, national identity kind of thing as well, so that the land can be blessed with like a particular animal's energy and so forth. So that's the other aspect. So let's put it this way: if you, for an Indian, because the national bird of India is peacock, taking care of peacock now because it's considered to be linked with the identity of India, you'll see the peacock energy is slowly building up and so forth with India as well. So that's the other aspect which you'll see. So this is one aspect. Now, in general, you can once you understand this particular aspect, you can really understand why the certain qualities of animals and you can do more of that. Now, animal symbols. Now, the remedy of animals can be very powerful when you connect with the energy of animals. So there is a very famous career remedy actually to improve a career, to get a job, and all that. You identify the 10th Lord planet, identify the nakshatra where that planet is sitting in. You have to know the animal link with the nakshatra, and then look at the 10th Lord's planet's color as well. And basically, you have to draw the animal in the color of that planet.
Oh,
So that will kind of act with an animal blessing through the color of the planet which you're inviting.
okay. Let's
So
take.
say you have like, let's say you have, yeah. So let's take Gemini as an example. So Jupiter will be the 10th lord, being the ruler of Pisces, which is the 10th house.
Yeah,
So say Jupiter is sitting in Barney. So Barney is linked with elephant. So
right.
it's a male elephant. So Jupiter is the Barney is male elephant. Jupiter's the color is orange, yellow, and all that. So the remedy is to basically draw the male elephant in yellow color. So that will activate that Barney energy of Jupiter.
Yeah,
Now, say you have like Mercury as a 10th lord with if you have Virgo Lagna. So Mercury becomes the lord of Gemini. Mercury is in Pura Falguni. Pura Falguni, the yoni is basically the female rat.
yeah.
So you have to draw a female rat in a green color. Now it's very important when you're drawing the color, you should make sure you're not using any pencil to shade or anything like that. You have to use only that color. Very important. So
Okay.
don't use any black thing, outline or whatnot. On top of that, you're doing mercury. You should purely use only the color which is prescribed actually. Now,
Okay.
many people started doing this particular thing. Now, of course, when you have Venus, you have to look at you have to draw a white animal actually. That's why they recommend white for Venus. Sun, they recommend a reddish orange or red color for sun. Moon, they again recommend white. Venus is also creamy white, but white color is what they recommend. And then Mars is red.
Pink for.
Green is pink is also fine. Yeah, pink for Venus is also fine. That's a good point. Pink for Venus is also fine. Yeah, green, Mercury and Jupiter we already discussed. So Saturn is usually linked with black color. And so
and
drawing that particular
and blue
blue
also.
also. Yeah,
Yeah.
blue also. Yeah, definitely blue also. Now, of course, here the seven colors of the grass are recommended. Rahu and Ketu, it's not usually used. Now, Rahu can be linked with brown and Ketu can be linked with gray actually. You can still draw that actually. Now, so this will become relevant when you have 10,000 falling Scorpio or Aquarius. In the
Yeah.
Parashari system, they would say Aquarius has Shani and Rahu as the lords, and Scorpio is having Mars and Ketu as the lords. So it's good.
Yeah.
So drawing this animal, drawing this particular planet, you're kind of activating this planet much more strongly by actually drawing that animal in the color, drawing the animal of the nakshatra where that plant is sitting in, and inviting that nakshatra energy of that through the animal yantra or sort which you yourself are drawing actually. A lot of people started getting a lot of jobs and all that. Like literally within 2 weeks, they started getting a job and all that. But it's apparently works. There's something behind that. It's something which you can use actually. So that was a good thing. So a lot of people,
Yeah.
yeah. So with 10th Lord and all that. So I've seen normally even if you just draw that animal, even if you don't know get a job, there's forward movement in that direction.
Right.
You begin to look deeply into what are the energies you need, how do you go ahead with your career and all that. Even that also happens.
Some
And
shift.
what I usually
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, some shift will definitely happen. And usually, what I encourage to draw it after every 2 weeks, like after every 12 days, you can redraw the same thing. So it'll kind of activate it again and again
Yeah.
until you get the desired result. And usually, I would recommend, I've seen when you draw it 12 times, it helps.
We see this from the lagna and the moon, just the
You can
lagna.
do both. You can do both. You can do it from the Dasha Lagna also. So look at the Dasha Lagna, look at the 10th house from the Dasha Lagna, that can also work. If you are running Jupiter Dasha, look at 10th house from Jupiter. If you then definitely look at 10th house from the moon and the Lagna.
And
All three Lagnas work.
question, do we see the planet that is sitting there or the Lord? Or does the planet sitting there take precedence? Like is it
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good question. So usually you'll for the original remedy that was prescribed, you look at the Lord of the 10th house and you kill the 10th Lord thing. However, I've seen that when you draw the planet sitting in your 10th house, that also boosts your career.
yeah,
Now, of course, the Lord is a starting way actually, but if you still can activate the planet in 10th house, which can also give you a job. In fact, this remedy can be extended to all the good houses in your chart. Need not be just the 10th house and 10th lord. The planets in the 10th house. You can look at the 7th lord. You can look at the 7th house planets. That can activate relationship energy. You can look at 5th house, 5th lord planet. If planets in the 5th house, when you draw it, it can be very good. It can activate luck, fortune, and so forth. With 5th house, investment, learning, and all that can be activated. Ninth house planet and ninth lord planet also, if you draw it, that can activate luck and fortune very easily. First house, if you draw it, you can see you are kind of focusing or improving a health kind of thing, actually. The Lagna is being activated in many ways, and you start to think more about a life path kind of thing easily. So planets in the first house, the first lord, your Lagna lord as it's called. And then also the fourth lord, fourth house and fourth lord, seventh house, seventh lord, and the 10th house, 10th lord. So all you see some energy movements very easily. If you know the planet, if you understand the nakshatra, you'll see the events that are happening once you draw is actually in harmony with that. Actually, you'll actually see that happening.
right.
So it's a very good remedy.
Do you recommend like doing it on the moon cycles, like full moon, new moon, what, or every few days? Like how many like
Ideally, it's a good thing to. Now you can do it at various levels. You can do it on a particular planetary day if you want to activate it strongly.
yeah,
Like you want to activate one planet strongly. So say the planet is 10th house is Mars. So 10th Lord is also Mars. Then you can draw it on a Tuesday. You can
yeah,
activate that planetary energy directly.
yeah,
You can also do it when the moon nakshatra is also transiting on that particular planet. That's also a good thing to do. Usually I've seen even it doesn't, it's an independent thing, like of time. Doesn't matter really. Even if you do it on a random day, you still get the results actually. That's what I've seen. So
oh,
even if you draw it on, yeah, so that's also a good thing to do. But of course, some people have tried to draw it during the horror of a particular planet, which you're trying to draw the color, which you're trying to draw. I've seen that also, people using that. People using the day of the particular planet. People using when moon is transiting over that particular planet. I've seen that also. So on a monthly basis, you draw that particular thing, and moon is transiting. Some people have done that.
very nice.
That's also something I've seen. But in general, I've seen it work like at least from the comments of when it was shared by like originally I kind of asked couple to do this, but then he shared this thing with a lot of people. A lot of people share the comments. So you could see one thing I could see was that when the planet was with Rahu and Ketu, sometimes the remedy was not working easily. So there was some superior forces. You need to connect with some gods and goddesses there to actually work with that. Now that does not mean that this won't work. You will still see that you will at least make some movement in that positive direction. Will still happen.
Yeah,
That's something I've seen. And quite often that might require you to draw the Rahu and Ketu kind of thing. As well. That's also something I've seen. You might have to draw if the planet with Rahu, definitely you'll have to draw the Rahu kind of thing. So that's a good point. The 10th lord, if the 10th lord is with any other planet, sometimes it helps to draw the planets linked with the 10th lord as well.
Yeah.
So that's also good. So you can kind of activate the house where that the 10th lord planet is sitting in completely. As we just talked, if any planet is sitting in a 10th house, that can also be activated directly. So you can activate that. So it kind of ensure that energy will flow no matter what.
Yeah.
So you can of course start.
If you're good at drawing or not, you're just drawing, right?
That's a very important. So you need not actually you need not be good at drawing. You are kind of inviting the energy.
Yeah.
You are creating it. So it has its own significance act. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if the drawing is good. It's an energy thing actually. It's an act which like you're inviting that animal energy
Connecting.
directly to you.
And you connect
Exactly.
with devotion, right? Like you believe in something, like, there has to be an element of faith you're connecting. So this is
Yeah.
important, I think. But yeah, yeah, very nice. That's a very nice remedy, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
it.
So
Try that.
yeah. No, that's a good one. I can really encourage that. So I know some astrologers even went ahead and recommended to draw the nakshatra of their Venus for relationships. I know some astrologers recommended that also. So that seems to be working as well.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. So I've seen definitely that particular aspect growing significantly. So like it's a good remedy. I would really encourage that. Of course, when you connect with the energy of the animal directly, you get more direct results. So that is always there. But if you definitely at least some people have tried drawing on their iPad or their phone, even that has also worked. Or
Yeah.
I've seen all that variation. Some people have tried to actually change their WhatsApp DP to like a particular animal, and that has also opened up some things. They could see instantaneous results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
they change their
experiment with the
yeah.
different, definitely.
Yeah, so they try to change the wallpaper of their until they get their job, they change the 10th cloud wallpaper on their computer, on their screen, on their mobile phone, and all that. So they tried all kind of possibilities on that front. So I've seen all many people have tried various things. So I've seen them getting corresponding results also. So it's a very unique thing like that. So, but at least you know the energy, and more importantly, when you know, I had one person who tried to only draw the head of the animal. And he was asking whether I'll get through the interview. He got an interview actually when he drew the thing, but then he could not. He was asking me whether he will get the job. I said, "You only do the head. The body is not there. So you just get to have the interview actually. You don't get the entire meat after that. You get to see the job is what it means, but you're not getting the full portion of it. So that's exactly what happened also. So it becomes very important to make sure you're drawing the entire animal body from that perspective, like including tail and all that, right? That kind of thing also. It helps. And there is no, you not be good about it. It's like an attempt actually. So, and I've seen that people who spend time, they do it with energy and intention, purity, the connection thing. The more they connect with the energy, it opens. And now even the people who just randomly drew it also, I've seen them, some energy, some events definitely happened for them also is something I've seen. So
Amazing.
that's also something I've seen. Yeah. So it's a good thing. That's something I would really, really encourage. So something pretty good actually. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think the viewers will like to experiment with that. I think it's a good one. It's a good one. And it makes sense
Yeah.
how it makes sense to me how it can manifest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you are kind of inviting that animal energy of the nakshatra. You're kind of inviting nakshatra energy through the animal, and you are giving life to it through a particular color.